And so he is looking to kind of up his company's game on video. And so he wanted to have breakfast with me. And so that was really cool because he is a big time mover and shaker here in Atlanta. So I had that. And then I had a closing from somebody who found me on TikTok today. So, or they found me on TikTok a long time ago, but they closed today. So it's been really kind of a very fancy day for me. I'm happy as a pig in a puddle. Now I'm spending time with you guys.
And I always love spending time with you. We are with Glennda Baker, and Glennda and I actually spend a lot of time on a social media called Clubhouse talking about another social media that she is dominating on, which is TikTok. Like I think that you're well in excess of 7 million likes now.
Oh, yeah.
That's excited. And we're excited to have you. Welcome to Leadership Line of Sight. My name is Taylor. I am a serial entrepreneur in the real estate and marketing space. And I am here with Scott Connors, who is the Chief Change Officer at Crankset Group. And we are delighted to have the shining star of Atlanta here, Glennda Baker.
Thank you so much.
Glennda, companies are starting to notice how well you get attention on video.
They are.
So tell me about your journey with that. Was video something that you've introduced to your business recently?
Well, I started with Facebook Live and I did a little series called Posts from the Porsche, which actually started out as Glennda Live. And I would do like videos in my car. So in the moment, I showed a house, I had an inspection, I listed a house, anything like I was excited about, I would do these live videos on Facebook. And one of my followers said, you should call it Post from the Porsche because I have a Porsche Panamera. And so I started doing those. And then in 2020, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to try out that little TikTok thing and see if I can't do that. And I started doing TikTok videos. And as they say, the rest is history.
Okay, so the posts from the Porsche are a very specific now. Those have become like an animal unto themselves.
Correct.
Anytime we see like a moonroof in your background, we know it's going to be spicy, right?
Typically, because for some reason, whenever I'm in my car, I must be like hot and bothered. I'm hot under the collar. I cannot wait to get home. I got to do it in my car, which typically means I'm whacked out.
Yeah, you're reacting to something. You've got something fresh that's bubbled up inside of you that you can't wait to deliver. But do you think that these companies are going to understand that that's like what lives in these videos? That's the thing that they can't bottle. They've got to they've got to bring it out of their people.
So very interesting question, because I was approached this week by an ad agency that wants me to be scripted to like push these products. And I'm like, oh, I don't think you understand. I'm not scripted. Like this is like all like, winging it. And they're like, oh no, you must follow a script, right? And I'm like, no, like it comes in, it comes out. And they were in the floor. And I told them, I said, that's just really not true to my brand. Like my brand is very authentic. It is very, it is all me. And I double down on me. And, I fall on the sword. Like I did a video about millennials and I was just completely off target. I was completely off base. And so this week I did an apology video to millennials because I really didn't take into consideration what they were struggling with, because I'm not a millennial. I was looking at it from my eyes, my Gen X eyes, and I was totally off base. So when this company reached out to me and wanted me to kind of like fake reality, I was like, yeah, I'm not down for that.
I want to unpack that for a second. So Scott, you're like something that we've talked about previously is how companies don't make relationships. People make relationships. Now, video is the next segment. When you take a look at the lightning in a bottle that is Glennda Baker, how are companies going to start getting on board with allowing those types of personalities to rise?
Well, first of all, they should listen. Listen to her. It's not about being scripted. It's about being unscripted. It's about being, and I would like to go back and for our highlight reel one day and have her say, true to your brand. not
Yeah.
change the name of your brand because things didn't go well. We do make mistakes. We're human. I made a video about millennials and then I went and apologized. That's what? Human. Brand, human. Human, brand, that equals connection. So I love what you're doing. And I bet there's a lot of small business owners out there right now going, well, how do I do it? How do I actually get this done? Where's the book? Why don't you write your book so I can do what you do? And what I'm hearing you say, and I'd like to hear your answer to this, I just speak from my heart. I just stay true to how I'm feeling. And if you want to listen to me, thank you. And if you don't, well, I appreciate you just the same. Is that how you go about it?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And, when somebody throws shade in the comments, I really don't have to say anything because the glitterati's jump on them. But what I do say when somebody is like harsh, I'm like, you do realize you can block me. If you think that what I'm saying is ridiculous, if you don't want to listen to it, please block me because I don't want to, I don't want you to have to listen to me. And that's the great thing about social media is you, the consumer of the content, have the ability to watch more or watch less. And so I think that when you are true to yourself, you're true to your brand, you double down on you, then you have the ability, you're either going to repel them or they're going to embrace you. It's typically one of the other, especially with somebody who is so distinct in their personality like me and distinct. I mean, I'm committed. The road is paved with dead squirrels that failed to make a decision. Don't be roadkill. I am not roadkill. If I believe in something, I'm going all in on it. And so for me, that is my brand. And I have a lot of people who say, Glennda, I mean, just like the people who closed today, we were attracted to you because of your brutal honesty. You're not sugarcoating anything. You're not telling us something to get us to buy something so you can sell it. You're telling us exactly as if it were you or your sister or your daughter. And that's, when I'm speaking from my heart, what I truly believe. And if I don't know, I say it. I just am like, oh yeah, that's definitely above my pay grade.
So I want to respond to that because there's going to be something that I see as other people finding problematic that you don't. So I want to know more about your decision-making process. So let's take this recent example. You decided, one, I love the idea that you're so committed, but you're also obviously open to new information. Because you were committed to the first video and you were committed to the second video, I would say equally.
Absolutely, 100%.
So talk to me about the process of changing your mind and confirming things. Like, how do you feel so confident to double down on everything? Because I know when somebody gives me something and I'm wondering if they're credible, the first thing out of my mouth is, want to bet?
So for me, I know this is going to sound so cliche. I really believe in my gut instinct, my intuition. I would probably say in my life, it's been the moments that I didn't listen to it, that I didn't follow it, that caused the most chaos. And so for me, it's just an instinct. It's a gut intuition. And I follow it and I believe in it. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm named after a witch. I'm born on the 13th. My stars and stripes. Who knows? Maybe I'm possessed. But for me, it's just that gut instinct. And, I consume a lot of content. I do a lot of research. If there's something that I don't understand, I want to look into it. And just like the millennial video, I was looking at it from the lens of Generation X. I never looked at it from another perspective. And what is it? Your perspective is your reality. And so when they pointed out to me, and it was thousands of comments, student debt, wages, and getting married later. It was just a litany of things that they pointed out, that so many people pointed out. And I was like, I never ever looked at it from that perspective. So I'm looking at it from the Amazon Prime experience that you can order it and send it back. And they really set me straight. So I think that anytime that you want to, be the Michael Jordan of real estate, you've got to be open to growth. And for me, I want to always be open to growth. And I'm human. And I think that vulnerability and saying I was wrong only made them love me more. So that video has 4 times the comments based on views of the other videos on average. So that tells you the engagement.
And so you really understand what it is to take part. So what it is to take part in this is that when you see something like TikTok, first you're probably an observer.
Yes.
And then you started to orient yourself to like the culture because it's trendy and it's like there's some things that you need to do to fit in, right? Like you wouldn't want to show up in the wrong clothes to the right place. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
But the way that you have come into TikTok is not by lip syncing. It's not by other things. The thing that you're doing better than anyone else I see is you're being known for what you do.
Yes. Well, that's the thing is like, don't tell anybody, but I did a dance on TikTok and I was like, this is so bad. Oh my God, this is so bad. And I think I even deleted the video. I'll be honest with you. But this is the thing is like, that's not me. And at first I was like, okay, I need to be like everybody else to fit in. So like, I wanted everybody to like me. So I'm going to be like everybody else. And then I was just like, but that's not true to my brand. That's not me. That's not an extension of me and my brand. And so like the stars, like at first I wore like a black dress. I was very conservative. And then in this one video, I was like, I'm going to wear my great new jacket that I got that has stars on it. And no lie, like, I love the stars. I love the stars. I was like, oh, wow, the stars might have some legs on them. And I have a ton of clothes that have stars on them because I love stars. I say, oh, my stars. My mom always told me, you are such a star, Pumpkin. And so I had all these star clothes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear some more of the star clothes. And so then if I don't wear them, they're like, where are your star clothes? Like I went to breakfast at this conference and I had on like regular, like casual clothes. And I run into this girl who's at the conference and she's like, wow, I really expected you to have on your star outfit. And I was like, oh, this is just my breakfast outfit. Don't worry. I'll be presenting in my stars. But like they were expecting the stars. So, I mean, can you believe and now I probably get 10 to 15 DMs a day with star clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
So this is something that on the outside, people are seeing as just like, oh, you got it, right? Okay. But on the inside, there's a lot of A/B testing that is happening here.
Oh, yeah, like, absolutely.
This got a response, this get a response, this didn't get a response.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I really like is that you're not a socialholic. So there's so many people that want an audience at any cost, they'll just do anything. And then don't get known for what they do.
Well, you got to keep in mind, I started with 122 followers. And so like, I mean, I was expecting like, I mean, on my Facebook, I mean, I would get like 100 views or 300 views. I think the one in my rollers has 1,500 views. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I'll have like 100 views. And like all of a sudden, like I've got 5,000 views. I've got 100,000 views. I'm like, oh, like who's watching my videos? And I asked in a video, I'm like, okay, so like, what's the common denominator here? Like, why are you following me? And again, that video has 4 times the amount of comments of the average video. And it's because I asked him a question. Why do you follow me? We think you're honest. We love your accent. We like the way that you talk. We're not, I mean, I'm at the World Series and this guy comes up to me. He goes, are you Glennda Baker? Like, I am Glennda Baker. I'm not going to buy or sell real estate. I saw a blonde with stars and I knew I told you guys it was Glennda Baker. He goes, will you take a picture with me? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And this guy, like he knew me from the stars. He's not going to buy or sell real estate, but he knows me. So when he does get ready to buy or sell real estate, or when he knows of somebody, he's thinking about me.
Well, I love all the consideration that you give to your brand. And I appreciate that you join us here today to talk about some of the stories that come up in leadership at every level. I know that, Scott, you're constantly keeping your ear to the ground for things that are coming up. One of the things that you were mentioning to me this week is what you're seeing with the different ways to bring out video. So what we see is Stephanie Merg was posting on LinkedIn, and she was talking about how live production over IP is becoming a standard. When you saw this story arise, what did you see?
Well, I see the merger of folks like our guest today and doing it at a whole different level on a whole different platform with worldwide conferences and simulcast. I see it in a way to build a brand by showing integrity, by spending the money to bring about that type of video production quality. I see the world of business and business presentation and business communication changing, evolving to a place where TikTok merges into the video world with the business presentations that are out there. And I think it comes down to grabbing a hold of that new technology early, being an early adapter, even if you're not normally that type of company or type of leader. And I think we're seeing a great example of what happens when you do right here today.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of things that are kind of coming together. So television used to be only on cable, or available through the airwaves, essentially. And now it's coming to us through streaming services predominantly. Then I'm also noticing that the amount of video that is being produced at different levels is starting to monopolize the way that we view media all the way around. But what I'm really wondering with this is when we're actually going to get the crossover and merge. And so what I mean by that is that I think that we're going to start seeing live production show up in really different ways, because what you couldn't do before that you can do this way is one to some. So before it was always one to all. Everybody with a cable provider got this, but if you paid for special channels, you would get this one to some, right? See how valuable that is? Well, now one to some can be based on subscriber level. It can be based on geography. It can be based on so many different things that you can make exclusive experiences now. And when they're talking about these big companies getting in, I'm counting down to when it's in our glasses and we see it on the walls.
And it gives the small business owners, it gives the entrepreneurs a worldwide voice immediately. That's important.
I want to know how you've seen this progress, right? Because Glennda, you're new at real estate, hey?
Taylor, I've been selling real estate since Jesus was a baby. So I've been selling real estate 29 years. But you just made such an interesting comment to me. And I was just sitting here, I was thinking about it. So when I first got into real estate in 1992, you joined a big brokerage, because if you didn't, nobody was going to do business with you. And that big brokerage was the one who had all of the clout. They're the one who had all of the visibility. As Glennda, the real estate agent with Buckhead Brokers, nobody even knew who I was, but everybody knew who Buckhead Brokers was. And I think that you're exactly right that video has given me, the small real estate agent, this worldwide stage. I mean, think about it, with, nearly 70 million views just on TikTok. That doesn't include Instagram or YouTube or anything. 70 million views, that's a truckload of views. So I just think you're exactly right. Used to, I would have had to have been Nike or Coca-Cola or Reebok to get that type of eyes on me or on my product. And I think that now small businesses have an unmatched opportunity of exposure to their product.
It's funny you say Nike and Coca-Cola, companies I know well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ask the senior leadership at Coca-Cola and at Nike, what kind of company are you? They're going to both tell you, and I've heard it, we're a branding company. We put the swoosh on everything we can. When Coca-Cola opens up a new market, the first thing you do is go into those new territories, new countries, if you will, and they'll paint as much Coca-Cola red as they can and help small store owners paint their store shops Coca-Cola red before Coca-Cola bottles even land on their shores. They understand the power of branding. When you mentioned joining a brokerage in the 90s and it being, whoever had the most visibility, like a Caldwell Banker or a Remax, to mention two that I know really well, it was brand awareness. It was brand equity. It was brand identity. What you've done is taken the machine world, the TikTok and the video interface, and you've created your own brand. It's not about you, it's about your brand. And what you are in your brand is integrity. What you are is honesty. What you see is what you get.
Yes.
I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to be unscripted. You know who I am. And oh, by the way, if you happen to want to buy or sell a house, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's how you build brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I am unapologetically me.
As you should be, though. So when you take a look at the progression of real estate and how it's changed, you have access to more people, you have access to so many more platforms. How do you choose? How do you choose where you are going to focus? Do you try everything?
Ooh, okay. So great question. So I bite the elephant one bite at a time. Or I take him on one bite at a time. And so in Q4 of 2020 was TikTok. And in Q1 of 2021 was Instagram. And then in Q2 of 2021 was YouTube. And so we have gradually taken by quarter each platform and becoming more proficient. But ultimately, we are consistent across everything. We are putting out the same message packaged just a little differently for each different platform, because you wouldn't wear your cocktail dress to the library. And so I just want to make sure that the people on each different platform are prepared to take me. So I package it just a little bit different. But interestingly enough, when I packaged for LinkedIn, I was a little bit more, buttoned up and professional. And the videos that do the best on LinkedIn are actually the videos that I first posted on TikTok. So I think that that's because everybody over there might be a little bit boring. And so they found me and they were like, holy cow, she's something different. So I'm working on LinkedIn. I'm trying to fall in love with it. I haven't yet, but I'm gonna.
So I see that progression in some of the work that I follow that you do. And I also like how you mix and match. Like, I think that right now, if you put something that has the TikTok watermark on it, if you put that on Instagram, it degrades you. The Instagram algorithm is sensitive to the competition from TikTok. Now the watermark will limit your flow. I don't think that's the case on LinkedIn. I think on LinkedIn, if you post something that has the TikTok watermark, it makes you look trendy and now.
Absolutely. It does. You're exactly right. And so, of course, we've A/B tested with the watermark and without on LinkedIn. I actually look at the analytics. I am bipolar. So I am an expressive analytical, which is very uncommon, but make no mistake, I am a D in times of conflict, because remember, I am not roadkill, but I test everything. So like, I can tell that the green sweater is doing better than the beige sweater. The captions being larger or smaller or in color. So I look at every single thing that was different about each video to try and understand what people are biting into more. And I actually paid an arm and a leg for this sweater because it had a like neon pink star on it. And I knew on my feed, it would like pop. And no lie, that sweater has done better on every platform across the board than any other sweater.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
that's like another level of understanding, but I really enjoy how you seek credibility.
Yes.
That was something that I liked. Like Ray Dalio is releasing a second book now, and his first book is one of my favorites, Principles. And what he noticed is that a lot of the time decisions were being made by the loudest people, not the people that should be making decisions. And so to go that 2 steps deep, I see that am I hearing you right in the reason that you study your analytics is because you want to know,
Yeah. I want to know that I know. I mean, hello. Like, I don't want to guess. Like, why would you do that when you have all of the information available to you? Why would you not try and understand? Plus, my people are important to me. I want to give my audience what they want. So if they prefer the green sweater over the beige sweater, I'm wearing the green sweater. I want to make sure that they're engaged. And so I think, and I ask them, like, what do you want to hear? And you would not believe the stuff that I get. It's crazy. I can't hear you, Taylor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I put my mic off. They're doing some construction in the building, and there was just a loud noise, so I muted there.
Oh.
But I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to see if something works for me here. I'm going to pull up. So Shift Support came by, and they hooked me up with an amazing little device here that's going to allow me to do some broadcasting. This is something I plan to do with Glennda in the future, because it puts some things. It lets me show my phone right on my screen here. And look at that, Shift Support coming through. So this is Glennda Baker on TikTok. And if you don't mind, I'd like to play one of these if I could. Let me know with your thumb if volume is up or down here. And do you have a video that you would like me to play?
Well, you can always play the big ass video. It's everybody's favorite.
Mine too. I got to say, I'm a fan. All right. So I've watched this video before, but I'm pretty sure that sound will be good here. Just let me know with a thumbs up.
Okay. So once upon a time, I sold a big ass house and I made $137,000 in commission on that one house. And rather than taking that money and investing it in real estate, I went and bought a brand new Mercedes. I went on a shopping spree and I pissed that money away. Instead of buying a townhouse on Lenox Road, it was right in the middle of foreclosure season. I could have bought that townhouse for $100,000. That townhouse today, that in 1995 was $100,000, is $1 million. That Mercedes is worth zero, and those clothes don't fit. This is a cautionary. So
that is awesome. I appreciate that you shared that with us and that you shared that with the world, because how many people don't see those things? They don't understand. So when you're talking about making that much off a single house, you're not talking about when you're taking care of the average family. You're talking about when you're taking care of athletes. You're talking about when you're taking care of CEOs. And that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about. I consider telling truth to power to be an incredibly valuable skill. When you've got people that are buying millions and millions of dollars of real estate at once, right? Talk me through how you protect them from making bad decisions.
Oh, great question. Okay. I just want to make a little note right here. Okay. Sorry about that. You said something and I wanted to make a note about it. Okay. So great question. I think that the reason that client listens to me is because they know that I'm not going to tell them something to make them buy that's not true. And so, or I'm not going to tell them something to make them pick me. So I'll give you a great example. I have a client and he's a basketball player. And today we were talking about his house and we need to do a price reduction. And he knows that I'm not asking for the price reduction for any other reason than to help him get his house sold. I'm not asking for the price reduction to give his house away to make my job easier. He knows I'm committed. I'm in it with him. But I know why he needs to sell. And so I'm in it with them. And I think that my people, whether it's the $200,000 townhome buyer or it's the $5 million celebrity athlete, both of those people know that I'm in it with them and that I'm telling them exactly as if it were me or my family. Every single thing that I say to my clients is literally as if you were my mother, brother, son, daughter. If it were me, you know, I had one client, what day is today? Friday. So on Wednesday, I showed a house and she said to me, Glennda, what do you think? And I said, if you don't buy it, I will. And she said, if you were going to buy it, what would you pay? I said, I would pay $475. She goes, you wouldn't pay $500? I said, no, I wouldn't pay $500 because at $500, the number doesn't work for me. And she goes, okay, let's write the offer for $475. So would I have made more money if I'd sold it at $500? Would I maybe have been higher than every other offer? Maybe. But the bottom line is that I'm advising them as if it were my family. And that's why people buy into me. That's why they trust me, because they know that I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I'm in it with them.
So when you talk about telling truth to power, like imagine that it's like walking along a 2x4. Everybody can do it while it's on the ground. Everybody can do it when it doesn't matter, right? But when you're talking about the type of money that you have hanging in the balance, let's take that 2x4 and maybe put it on two 6-foot ladders. Now, how many people are willing to do the same exercise? It's the same thing. It's only 6 feet. What about 60 feet? What about 6,000 feet, right? So tell me about maybe a little bit more about the first time that you had to look somebody in the eye when the type of commission that you were discussing in the video is hanging in the balance. How would somebody that's about to do that tomorrow, like, what do you want them to know?
So the difference between me and everybody else is that I'm betting on myself. It doesn't matter to me if that 2x4 is 6 feet or 60,000 feet. I'm betting on me every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And belief in yourself will give that client the certainty and the clarity to buy into you. People buy into people, not into product. And that's the thing. So Heinz Ward had his house listed for 2 years, 5 different real estate agents, and nobody could get the man down past $5 million. And so when I listed the house, I listed it at $5 million because I knew that if I could get him to believe in me, I could get him priced properly. And so on December the 16th, we listed for $5 million. And on Valentine's Day, his team calls me, he's on the phone, and they're like, Glennda, we've got to get this house sold. And I said, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is I can get it sold for you. The bad news is you're not living in reality at $5 million. I'm telling you right now, I can get it sold, and this is the price I can get it sold at. No lie, I reduced the price of that house to $3.75 million. I had multiple offers. I had people standing in line. It sold above that price. And he said to me, I asked him, I said, that was a huge price reduction. Why did you give that to me? He goes, because I knew that you knew you were right. He knew that I knew I was right. And I asked him, I said, what was the problem you had with your previous real estate agent? He goes, she asked me what she needed to do to sell the house. That would be like me asking her how to play football. And he goes, with you, he goes, you never asked me, what should I do? You told me exactly what you were going to do, step by step. And I could tell that you believed in what you were doing to the point that you were willing to die on the sword. He goes, when I ran the football, I was so convinced that my play was right. I was willing to run it straight into those people. And he goes, and that's how I got to the end zone. And I knew you could get me there.
Woo! That's hot. You know, I taught my wife how to ride a motorcycle. She eventually rode on racetracks with me. And in the beginning, I remember riding through the residential with her and asking her to pick her speed up. You can't drive this slowly. you need to drive with traffic. And it was a few weeks into learning, and one morning she came to me, and she's an emergency nurse, and she said, yeah, I'm going to ride to work tomorrow on my motorcycle. I said, nah, I don't think you're ready. And so a week goes by, and she comes back, and she's like, okay, we rode a bit and so on, and I'm going to ride my motorcycle to work tomorrow. And I look at her, and I'm like, no, I don't think you're ready yet. And then the third week, she comes back to me with her helmet in her arm as she's leaving the house. And she says, I'm riding my motorcycle to work. I said, now you're ready. And then we lost Glennda. So technical challenges, but I'm sure she'll pop right back in here. Scott, there was something that was popping around in your mind a little bit this week that we've been following for a while. We've been following this story of John Deere. I pulled up this post. It looks like they've come to an agreement. How do you see how that news went down?
Well, first of all, this is really that great resignation. This is really that tone in the United States and other countries, I believe, of enough's enough. I want to feel valued, and the easiest way for me to feel more valued is money. But if you look at the new contract with John Deere and you look at the amount of social media presence that it was given and the amount of engagement by society to rally behind these striking workers to say, enough's enough, we're with you. We are with you. Unprecedented, the type of raise that they got out of that industry, machining industry, unbelievable price increases, wage increases. But there's also more. There's flexible work hours. There's chances for promotion. There's the ability to have a better voice. So we didn't just hear you, and I'm proud of the John Deere board and I'm proud of the John Deere leadership to say, we really need to respond here. We really need to do the right thing here. We really need to give our people what they need to feel good about the jobs they're doing and the security that comes with them. We need to do, and we need to be better. And John Deere did that. They answered that to the point where people are going back to work and they're feeling validated and they're feeling like they matter and they're feeling empowered. And to Glenda's point before about knowing when you know, it's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing. And it's about believing that I'm always going to do the right thing. And sometimes businesses, small business owners, big companies, worldwide conglomerates don't really know what the right thing to do is. And this is one of those historic occasions where the world showed them that they were behind that workforce. So what we saw was really as big a change as we've seen in like financial services industries and the meme stocks and things like that. This was a huge change, not for workers' rights, not for employee advocacy, but for doing the right thing for the right reasons.
That's awesome. Thanks for decoding that. Glennda, we saw you had an internet interruption. And I want you to know that Scott and I wouldn't have been able to wrap this episode until something like this happened. We've had fire alarms. We've had sound challenges. So I really appreciate that you made us complete there.
I have no idea what happened. Like my stars and stripes, it's nearly 2022. Seriously, does the internet need to go out?
I don't know. We were talking about this story related to John Deere this week, and what Scott was sharing is that they had a dispute that basically went viral. So people were talking about how they identified with the factory workers that really are the core of the American workforce. This is and some of them kind of got left behind. We've been seeing Detroit over the last few years really improve. There's been a lot of car companies that have been innovators that have been helping them. Like Toyota has partnered with a lot of domestic brands, and the way that they've been bringing their factory workers factories into the common place where people don't see the workers as more machines. That's been what we need from that side of that industry. So when we talk, like Scott, you were sharing very passionately about how this group needs to be validated. But to Glenda's point earlier, they had a platform to demonstrate the credibility of their argument. I thought they did that really well, and I'm also glad that it got the attention of the people that need to make the decisions. What's it like down where you are in Georgia, Glennda? Is there when we see that the average experience where you are? Where do you see them? Would you see the people around you identifying with the John Deere workers?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And Home Depot's headquartered here, UPS, Coca-Cola, and what's really interesting to me is, especially like Home Depot, they have seen their stock absolutely skyrocket. And I think that, and what's really interesting to me, and I'm going to circle this back to housing. What's really interesting to me is that the corporation at the corporate level, they have seen historic gains, yet their employees have not experienced that same in wages. And it's just like the investor who had to raise the price of the buy, fix, up, sell because, construction costs were up and lumber costs were up. Well, when lumber started to trickle back down, he didn't turn around and reduce the price of housing. He had conditioned the buyer to pay more. And so the savings that he was realizing on that lumber, he was putting in his pocket. And so what I think, and maybe I'm wrong because, I barely got out of high school, but what I think was that corporations had conditioned the employee to work for a certain wage. And even though their balance sheet was exponentially rising, those wages weren't rising in conjunction with that. And I think that a lot of our labor force is like, you know what? I'm going to let you do it from your ivory tower then, because my money says you can't do it without boots on the ground, and that's me. And they bet on themselves, and they were right.
That's so interesting from your side, because first off, who from your high school class outperforms you? Yeah, lots of silence there, hey?
I've been very fortunate. It's funny because when I barely graduated from high school, and I got a job. I had a job when I was 16. I was selling ladies' shoes, and I was making more money in high school selling beer out of my trunk and ladies' shoes on the weekend than anybody in my class. And everybody was at school, and they were at fancy schools. I mean, people from my school went to Harvard and Stanford and Emory and fancy schools like that. And, probably, if I had to say who's the person kind of rivaling me, he's an investment banker. And he, it's funny because he kind of gave me the hardest time of anybody in high school, but I digress. But it's interesting to me. I have been very fortunate, and it just goes to show you that you can be anything you want. You don't, especially today, you don't even have to have a college education.
Well, that's definitely true. And you're a testament to that. Just like when these companies like Home Depot or like other like John Deere may have temporarily looked past what the value of their people are. They don't understand that Home Depot came from somebody who didn't want to work at the available construction company or like supplier, right? Like that's, every entrepreneurship has to be a pirate ship. Yeah. There's never been enough business for all of us, right? We got the most available real estate client is somebody else's past client. The most available, Home Depot client is somebody who's walking out of their major competitor, right? Yeah. But one of the things that I really like when they changed how they approach their employees was that they inverted the triangle. The CEO of Home Depot has talked about this, but he basically said that, the truth of the matter is that everybody was looking at it like a triangle where the leader's at the top, and then there's the team, and then there's the employees, right? And then there's the clients. But we all know that the clients are number one, because without them, there is no team and there is no leader. So let's put them on top. And then how do we support these clients? Well, we do it with the team. And how do we support the team? That's the leader's spot. You guys have been standing on your heads looking at this triangle for 100 years, for 1,000 years, right? And now look at how that changes things when you say, when you win, we win. And when I win, we win. It's such a different statement.
And he took that same mentality to the sports teams, because he bought the Atlanta Falcons and he started the Atlanta United. And he literally took that same mentality for the consumer experience, because he understood that without the fans, that he couldn't do anything with the team. And so he made the consumer experience, then he made the employee experience. And then literally he is at the bottom down there holding everybody up. And again, it's, I've had the opportunity to know Arthur Blank, and he is an amazing business person, as well as Bernie Marcus. But I love the fact that they have always led from a position of putting the consumer and the employee before anybody else.
Totally. Scott, where are you seeing that starting to rise? Like, I thought it was really neat to see that in the industry like John Deere, but we're starting to see it in a lot of different places where people are like, okay, what if we just looked at this from the consumer experience and what we need to support that? I know you've been working with some companies that are basically making uncommon partnerships around that.
Yeah, and the reality is we're seeing it everywhere. It's 100% global. It's 100% happening. You're just not seeing it optically like you might think. Companies that are failing, companies that are losing massive amount of customer relationships or big strategic alliances. Think about Intel's chip shortage and the strategic alliances that's creating as we speak. But what I mean to say by the optics is, when you see a company going sideways and people leaving that company in droves, it's because they haven't looked at it through those optics. They haven't said, it's all about our clients first and the people that support and interact directly with their clients. When you're 3 or 4 levels removed from your clients, when you're sitting in a boardroom and you think you know better than the person who's on a plane 16 times a month away from their family, getting back in front of their clients and reacquiring those relationships at a personal level, and you think you know better, well, not only are you wrong, but now we're showing you how wrong you are in your company's performance versus the performance of your competitors. So servant leadership is leadership. Any other type of leadership will not survive 2022 or beyond. That makes me a very busy person, but it also means that I'm also adding value to companies who are finally listening. And companies are getting hit over the head with a sledgehammer with this right now. There is a very large manufacturer in Northeast United States that lost 18% of its workforce last week. Gone. And they think there's individual reasons. They think, well, he wanted to do this and she wanted to do that, and he went here and she went there.
There is an individual reason. You know what you call a leader without any followers? Just a guy going for a walk.
Yep, that's right.
That's the individual reason. It starts at the top.
That's right. That's right. And to be recognized and valued is everything. Value,
but it's also understanding.
Go ahead.
It's also understanding why people are upset. Like, check out what Scott was sharing with me earlier this week. So from a veteran trucker, greed is why the supply chain crisis isn't functioning. What do you see when you see that?
Well, that is why we're in the supply chain. First of all, the consumer greed, we put $6.9 trillion worth of stimulus into Americans' pockets in a pandemic, thinking it was going to last forever and every company was going to fail. We overreacted. We did it in the governmental way of overstimulus, and all that money is going to get spent versus saved. To Glennda's point about the $137,000 commission that didn't make it past the Buckhead Mall and the Mercedes dealership. So we went on a spending spree. That's the front end of that greed. But now, once as an American consumer realized that we were the problem, spending has slowed down. So we just needed the information to make that change. But also to Glennda's point about greed at the ports and greed at the trucking company level that says we can pay our drivers X and they'll still drive for us. No, they won't. They won't even think about driving for you. And you know what? It's not just about the fact that they can go to your competitor across the street, literally, and get an extra $10 a trip or a mile or a tank, depending upon the load. It's because I got a call from the CEO that said, thank you for getting that load through. It must have been a difficult journey with that weather. And when that guy called me, I'll work for him forever. So you either discount in your mind the value of what you're putting through the supply chain, or you're no longer in the supply chain.
That's a good point. I really, looking at how companies are treating people and how people are reacting to how they feel. Have you ever been told to calm down? Normally, it's really interesting to hear the tone of voice the person saying it is using. Because nobody in the history of telling somebody else to calm down has really done it quietly. And normally, the tone of their voice is actually what leads your reaction. So when you take a look at the government said, okay, we're going to break all these records with all of these stimulus. What was their tone of voice when they said it was going to be fine? It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can almost hear them through the tears. So then the people at the port, they're so worried because the government opened the floodgates that they're like, okay, it's going to get worse. I got to keep mine. Right? I got to make sure that it's a scarcity tone. They said it's going to be fine, and at the same time, they showed with their actions something so loud that nobody could hear what they said.
Yeah.
And it's just resonating now and coming back in echoes.
And thank you to the wonderful people of the state of Georgia for rallying in our presidential and in our government elections, for having the loudest voice they've ever had. And that's really the same type of thing that we're seeing now in the business world. Is, you know what, I don't vote, or I'm not loud about politics or those kind of things because my voice doesn't matter. Oh yeah, it does. It matters now. We need you to speak up. We need you to have that tone. And you need to be the one, all of us, to say it is going to be okay. We're going to make it okay, because that's what we do. We're human beings and we care.
But you knew that the population didn't believe them, because they hoarded everything. They hoarded all of the toilet paper. They hoarded all of the paper towels. Like, you knew that they didn't believe what was being told to them by their actions.
Right.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny because we had David Fried on a few weeks ago. And he was a talent excellence leader at Amazon, and he's an expert at supply chain. And he was decoding how we were burning the candle literally at both ends. We were ordering so much online that all the people that produce paper products moved to making more cardboard boxes for shipping at the cost of making toilet paper. So talk about spending your ass.
Literally.
Yeah, it's incredible how it goes. So now when we take a look into 2022, Glennda, you were talking about how you organize yourself, how you look at the different segments of time. You were talking about mainly what you were doing in like a timely, organized approach to social media. But now I want to go to the Glennda that was named after a witch, because I was also born on the 13th. And my favorite birthdays are Friday the 13th. So what does your crystal ball look like going into 2022?
Well, my crystal ball is foggy every day except today, but I think that 2022 is going to be interesting for a lot of different reasons. So let me give you an example. The house that I could have bought in August of 2020 for $650,000 is now $1 million. And yet my cash hasn't grown. And the stock market is volatile. So what am I doing with my money? And interest rates are going to go up. Interest rates are going to go up. Interest rates are going to go up, period. I promise you that. But I'm telling you right now, if you think that housing is going to come down, it's not going to come down. Is it going to decelerate? Absolutely. Because we in Atlanta, so let's just take my little piece of the world, 17% appreciation over the last 10 months. Are we going to see 17% appreciation over the next 10 months? Unlikely. Absolutely unlikely. Are we going to see 6%? Probably. And the bottom line is that people received a windfall of cash out of the homes that they're selling. The interest rates were low. Nothing has done more for the prices in Atlanta, Georgia than the California buyer, period. We've never seen appreciation naturally like the California buyer has given it to us, because they're cashing out of their 1,400 square foot, $2 million house coming to Atlanta, buying 6,000 square feet for $1.5 million. They're like, we got to pay $100,000 over the list price. Praise the Lord and pass the money. So that's the thing, is like, for us, especially in areas like Atlanta, Nashville, Florida, the droves of people coming from the West are going to continue to falsely augmenting the price of housing. Will it come back down? I don't think so. I think it's going to decelerate, but I don't think the bottom's going to drop out. That's just my opinion.
And Scott, I want you to respond to that. What do you think about what Glennda was drawing as a picture for us there? Oh, sorry, Scott. Go again.
Yeah, migration's driving price. That's absolute. Migration's driving price. It feels better to live in Atlanta than it does in LA for a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons is the tax rate. The other main reason is, we've got some city issues there, and the infrastructure and the homeless and whatnot, and personal safety. But Atlanta feels better than LA. And so migration will drive price. And whether that's a long-term, because Californians tend to be transitory. They leave California when times are bad in California, and they go back as soon as they get good again. I will say this: interest rates are not going to go up nearly as much as they've gone up in prior cycles, for the fundamental reasons that they're so beat down, and the banks are still making so much money at a lower rate that even if the Fed raises the Fed window and the overnight rate, it's going to take the market to sell off bond prices to raise the 10-year, and the 10-year is what backs the 30-year, and the 30-year is what mortgages are amortized against. Not everybody takes a 30-year mortgage, but that's where your amortization schedule is. So I think rates will go up, but my forecast is no more than 0.5 of a percentage point, and that's average over the year. We may see a tad bit mid-summer, just a little bit higher to 5/8, but that would be about it. And then, of course, the lenders have to pass on their squeeze in their service release premium, the money that they're making on the rate that they sell versus the rate that what they're getting paid to sell that rate. We're going to see some of that not get squeezed into the market. So I think real estate buying from a real estate interest rate perspective, a mortgage interest rate perspective, will still be very competitive throughout 2022, but the price you're going to pay for your house is not going to go down anytime soon. The price is going to continue to go up. The price may go up 6 or 7% and not 17% in 12 months, like Glennda was referencing. I think we've seen that pulse come through, but the buyer demand, the number of buyers that were waiting for prices to come down, they're going to start to enter the market in the spring. And Glenda's going to be way too busy to do TikTok videos, because she's going to be selling and she's going to be listing, and it's going to come at record numbers to the agents that have that type of throughput.
I gotta say, I've known Glennda for a little while, and my bet is that she can sell everybody out in her market while doing TikToks and ripping around in her car. So I'm not really concerned about anything that way. And I also have some bold predictions. I think that we're going to run into something I call Vuja Day. So deja vu is when the same thing happens twice, and it's eerie, and we wonder how it happened, right? But Vuja Day is actually what happens way more commonly. It's way more common that we actually run into a circumstance where we think we're seeing this again. We think we're seeing the same thing. But because of a foundational change that's not on the surface, it may not go down that same way. And historically, we have fought inflation. We have fought inflation using interest rates, but you have to control the money in order to do that. So you have to control the money in order to make interest rates decrease in the inflationary effect. How many people are going to hide their money in crypto? And how is that going to water down the effect of interest rate changes and make them more extreme in response? Glennda, is your audio all right? Scott, you can hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you. I think she's having some speaker issues. I'll say this, though, to your point. We've seen this type of movement in markets before in real estate industries. You can go back to even when the MBS markets failed in 2008, and we had this entire correction of banks not making any mortgage loans. But what happened? What ended up happening to housing prices during that that period, right? They stabilized, they decreased, and then they stabilized. And I think that at the end of the day, what you and I and all real estate people throughout the community, whether it's the title industry or it's the real estate buying and selling industry, the realtor that we call it, anybody that's connected to the real estate industry at all has got to make more of a personal connection to the people that they interact with. Because the buying decision is going to be more difficult because they're about to spend more of their net worth and put it at risk into a home where we're going through price volatility, that they've got to have faith in their realtor, faith in their mortgage lenders, and faith even in their title companies because of change of title and how they're switching, to know that it's going to be okay, that this is your home and that it's a long-term investment. And I think that's what the challenges of 2022 are going to be all about. And I think your team up there and I think Glennda's team down in Atlanta are well positioned to take advantage of it.
That's awesome. And we really appreciate having Glennda here from her team down in Atlanta. This is the lovely ladies of Glennda Baker and Associates. And if you are looking for somebody who will tell you how it is, especially if you have one of those level of houses that you're nervous that somebody's just going to tell you whatever you want to hear, that happens all over real estate. But I can tell you this, Glennda will tell you exactly how it is. And more importantly, she'll tell you how to win. Thank you so much for joining us, Glennda.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, praise the Lord. My stars and stripes. You know, I never have technical issues unless I'm on StreamYard. When I'm on StreamYard, I'm convinced that it hates me. Okay, but I'm back. So, and I heard everything that you were saying. And I'm just going to bet you $5, Scott, that it's more than 0.5%.
Oh, I love it. And this is a reason that we can have you back so that you can, maybe one of you guys can collect here.
I'll tell you what, if I win that $5, I'm coming to get it in person in Atlanta, although that airport's way too damn busy for me. And if I lose it, I'm going to deliver it by hand.
I love it. I will welcome you with open arms.
The folks of Atlanta always do. I love that city.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for Leadership Line of Sight. I am here with the amazing and illustrious Glennda Baker of Glennda Baker and Associates. She is in Atlanta and she might own Atlanta. So you should definitely give her a call. You can find her on everywhere on social media. And when you engage Glennda, it's actually Glennda. Now, the other person with me is my co-host, Scott Connors. Now, Scott is incredibly busy helping people make the dynamic changes that these companies need to compete. The board has changed. The landscape is different. And he is the Chief Change Officer at Crankset Group. Scott Connors is most easily accessed on LinkedIn, but can be found everywhere. And my name is Taylor Hack. I am a serial entrepreneur that has conned many people into coming on this show and teaching me wonderful things. I run a marketing company. I'm the marketing strategist at Gravidia and the team leader at Hacking Company at Remax River City. And I really appreciate everybody joining us here. And we're looking forward to having you back, Glennda. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Taylor. I can't wait to see you. Hey, by the way, am I going to be in celebrity circles? I didn't get an invitation. I was feeling a little neglected.
Okay, well, I will definitely make that happen, and we'll see you on that Monday night.
All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.